A very fresh and a very wonderful morning to one and all present there. How are you all? I hope you all are fit, fine, and healthy. We are back with English subject for class ninth. As we have completed half of the lesson, that is packing. This is your textbook. We are on lesson number 7, packing. We have completed 70% of the lesson. We'll have just a quick review of what we have learned till now. Okay, so there were three people living together. One was Jerome, one was Harris, and another one was George. So these three people were about to go, and one is the writer. Okay, they were about to go on a trip, and they had to do packing. Okay, and Jerome thought that he had an extraordinary skill in packing stuff. So he said that leave this packing stuff on me. While doing that, George and Harris were impressed with his statement and they thought that he will do the whole task, he will take the whole task on him and he won't, there would be no uh, responsibility on their shoulder. But this was not the intention of Jerome. What he wanted was just to supervise them in the packing stuff. Then there was a hard time. They were just this a set, as you can see in the picture. I'll show you. What did they do was one of them just sat on a sofa and one of them sat on a chair and they were at ease while Jerome used to do all the packing stuff. So this was not the actual intention of the Jerome. But he did not speak anything. He did not ask them anything to do, but he did everything by himself and then he packed the bag. He slammed the bag shut and strapped it, and then he found that then George said in Harris explained him that he reminded him that he had forgotten to keep the boots inside the bag, and then George laughed on it, and then he again unpacked the bag and found out that and kept the boot inside. Again, he um, shut the bag and then he thought that whether he has kept the toothbrush inside the bag or not. He had a major problem in missing out toothbrush and he always packed it beforehand before even, and the next day in next morning when he wanted to brush his teeth he found missing, and then again he unpacked the bag and found it in the bag, and again he takes out and keeps inside the bag, and he was having miserable time in the matter of toothbrush. Then he had forgotten to spectacles. He had packed the spectacles inside the bag. So again he unshut it and he found his. He had to reopen the bag. So till 10 not 10:05 p.m. he finally shut the bag at the end, and they thought that only 12 hours were left for them. So they suggested him to stay aside and they will do, George and Harris will do the rest of the task. Only the basket of food, that is you can see hampers, large baskets for carrying food were only left. They began it with a light-hearted spirit and everything went upside down. They just kept the tomatoes at the bottom and kept the jam jar on it, and it smashed the tomatoes, and they again had to take off the tomato puree with the teaspoon and all, and then they broke the cup also. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on the top of a tomato and squashed it, and then it was George's turn. He trod on the butter, that means he stepped on the butter. As you can, I'll show that in the picture. He smashed on the, here is, he trod on the butter and all the thing went bad with them. Then I came over and sat on the edge of the table. This is Jerome, as you can see. This is Jerome. He just laughed on them and sat on the edge of the table, which irritated George and Harris. And then the next 10th point said that they upset salt over everything, and everything there was salt everywhere. As for the butter, I never saw two men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter, and they kept everything here and there. They found it missing. They found things on the they found things they kept the things on the chair and then forgot it. Then they had a hard time in doing that stuff. Then we'll begin with the 12th number. Montmorency was in it all. Of course, Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. Be sworn at means to get scolded. Okay? If he can squirm in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted and be a perfect nuisance and make people mad and have things thrown at his head, then he feels his day has not been wasted. So this you can see, this is Montmorency. This Montmorency, he got into the hamper before Harris could land him with the flying pan. Yes, so you can see that this Harris is hitting him with this pan, and if this doesn't happen, then he feels that his day is wasted, and if he is hit, he's thrown at his head something, and that time he feels that Montmorency feels that he has compassed his day successfully. He has not wasted his day. To get somebody to stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour is his highest aim and object. And when he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. Conceit means his pride in himself. Okay, he is like Montmorency. Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. Means he wants scolding from everywhere. If he can squirm in everywhere, anywhere where he particularly is not wanted and be a perfect nuisance, he always goes somewhere. Montmorency is the name of a dog, and he goes somewhere where he is not wanted and he spreads the nuisance and make people mad and shout at him. This was the only ambition in his life. Jerome says this. And have everything and have things thrown at his head. And at that time only he feels good that yes, my day is not wasted. And if he doesn't, his conceit, his pride in himself becomes quite unbearable when these things, when he's not successful in doing these mischievous things. 13th paragraph. He came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed, and he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold, damp nose that they wanted. He put his leg into the jam and he worried the teaspoons. Here, worried means disturbed. And he pretended that the lemons were rats and got into the hamper and killed 3 of them before Harris could land him with the frying pan. So, what major wrong he did with the basket, that is hamper, that he came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed. So, whenever Harris and George wanted something, they were searching for something to be kept at a place in the bag. At that time, he used to sit on that and he used to hide it, and they couldn't find where that thing is being placed. Whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold, damp nose that they wanted. He puts his leg into the jam and he worried the teaspoons. So he put his leg, that Montmorency kept his leg into the jam and he disturbed the teaspoons, and he pretended that the lemons in the basket, the lemons which were kept in the hamper, were rats, and he got into the hamper and killed the rats. That means killed three of the lemons. That is, he thought that they are rats. And before Harris could lend him with the frying pan. So, what did Harris do on his mischievous act? That he hit him with the frying pan. Number 14. Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that does not want any encouragement. It's natural, original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. The packing was done at 12:50 and Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken, which reflection seemed to comfort him. He also said he was ready for bed. We were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night, and we went upstairs. So now what happened, dear students, that Harris used to say that Jerome used to encourage that Montmorency, a dog. But such kind of dog doesn't need any encouragement, says the Jerome. And he says that Jerome says about the Montmorency that it's his natural original sin. He was born with this kind of negative manners in him, that makes him to do such kind of mischievous and nuisance in the place. Now after doing all this thing, after forgetting things on different places and stepping on trodding on butter and spreading the salt everywhere, after doing all these upside down things, they finally packed everything at 12:50, and on the next morning they wanted to leave, and Harris sat on a big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. Okay, and so Harris sat on that big hamper which he had packed. He sat there and thought that, and he hoped that nothing would be broken but if he had sat on it. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken. Which reflection seemed to comfort him. If anything is broken, let it break. We are not going to unpack it, open it, and take it out again. Whatever has happened, let it be there. That statement comforted them. He also said that now he is ready for bed, and we all were ready for bed. They all were, and Harris was to sleep with us that night, and we went upstairs. Number 15. We tossed for beds, and Harris had to sleep with me. He said, do you prefer the inside or the outside, J? Here, J stands for Jerome. Okay. So, do you prefer the inside or the outside, J? I said I generally preferred to sleep inside a bed. Harris said it was odd. George said, what time shall I wake you, fellows? So now they were all set to go to bed, and George said that what time will you all, fellows means all the mates, at what time you all will wake up? So Harris said 7. So George asked Harris and Jerome. So Harris answered that at 7 we all will wake up. But Jerome interrupted and said no, 6. At 6 o'clock they need to wake up because he wanted to write some letters. Jerome wanted to write letters. Harris and I had a bit of row over it, but at last split the difference and said 6:30. That is 6:30. Okay. Here 6:30 means 6:30. in the morning. So here they had a debate and row over it, that is debate over it. Then they split the difference. Difference means na tera na mera. So they woke up. They finally decided to wake up at 6:30. Wake us at 6:30, George. We said. So Jerome and Harris um, mutually understood that they will wake up at 6:30, not 7, not 6, but 6:30. And George informed to Harris that you need to wake us up at 6:30. George made no answer, and we found, on going over, that he had been asleep for some time. So we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning and went to bed ourselves. So now on by after this debate, and they finalized the time 6:30, and they asked George to wake us up, to wake them up. But George did not reply anything as he was already asleep. So they placed the path where they could tumble into it on getting out in the morning, and then they went to bed. So this was the story written by Jerome K. Jerome, an extract taken from Three Men in a Boat. So this is all your lesson. So what you need to write, dear students, is first of all, give a beautiful, like if you have already your notebooks, if you have it with you, what you need to do is continue and fold the page and give the heading with bold letters, periodic test 3, as you already given. No man are foreign is the less, it's a poem which is going to come in the periodic test 3. So write down the heading, packing, give the dates, and write the all the glossary words in your notebook. Make a list of it. Whatever glossary words are being given to you, you can see these all glossary words and make a list of it and learn it thoroughly. Yeah, we will discuss the question answers, which is here. Thinking about the text, we have these 10 question answers, then we have these 3 more application type question answers, then we have these match the words and phrases in column A with their meanings in column B, then you need to fill these blanks, then we'll study this stuff. So here we are having positive and negative proverbs. We will understand these proverbs one by one. Then we have the blanks. Then we'll end up this lesson with this writing skill. We have speaking skill. This is all for your chapter packing. That's it. So we will undertake this exercise in our next video. Till that, what you need to do is learn the all the glossaries and find out the answers. We will discuss it in our next video. These question answers, try to find it out the answers of it and write them on your in your notebook. As you will write, it will develop your writing skill. I will definitely give you the answers in our next video. Till that, you can reread the whole lesson thoroughly and answer to the questions asked to you in this text. So there's a gentle reminder that as the pandemic is getting worse and the corona is spreading very widely, so kindly stay at home, stay safe, do not go out of your house, go only when it is required, and I hope there is no such major requirement for you kids to take care of your health, take care of your family members. Stay at home, keep speaking in English, and learn and on daily basis. Do not skip any videos. We will continue with this lesson. We'll share the question answers in our next video.